Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark's YouTube channel. We are going to be live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube and on Stadium for the entirety of the spring.
I think it's an easy pick. Like, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves who just got to the Western Conference Finals. They have one of the most electrifying players in the game in the Ant-Man and Ant Edwards. They did something that nobody expected this year. And they just added two guys who can help you now. And they traded, think about this, Rob. They just traded a 2031 first round pick and they swapped in 2030 to San Antonio when Greg Popovich will be 82 years old in 2031. 82 years old. And they got Rob Dillingham. What do they need more than anything? Another shot creator to take some pressure off the Ant-Man, right? We watched the playoffs. You could see it. It was too much on Anthony Edwards. What does Robert Dillingham do better than anybody in this draft, Rob?
Score. Create.
Yeah.
Go get a bucket.
He can go get you one, right? He can go get you one. And he can be a second unit guy, but man, you could put him out there with Ant-Man and he'll be just fine. He can go get you a bucket. He's small. He's only 165 pounds. He's probably going to gain 10 pounds in the next few years, but he can be in that Lou Williams type role eventually. And then you go and again, you got to give up a pick in 2031. Who cares? Who cares? You worry about 2031, in 7 years. And then you go get Terrence Shannon Jr. at 27, who was arguably the second best player in college basketball last season, right before obviously legal issues kind of derailed his season to some degree, but he still played great even under those circumstances. Ultimately was found not guilty after going to a trial, and he took Illinois deep into the NCAA tournament. But what he is a man. He's a fifth-year kid who can guard a high level, who's got the physical tools, who is an improved perimeter shooter. He'll never be a great perimeter shooter, but improved, and a great straight line driver, right? Like, Terrence Shannon is perfect for this Minnesota culture and what they need because, again, he can play right away now. He's not going to be the guy offensively or anything close to it because you've got other weapons right now. You just need pieces. And Shannon and Dillingham are pieces that can come in to a contending team. I'm not sure they're NBA title contending, but they're not far off. And they added two guys that can be a part of taking that to another level. So I love what Tim Connolly did at Minnesota, and I loved what he did at Denver. Tim Connolly's one of those dudes. Like, there's a handful of guys right now. Obviously, you're looking at Brad Stevens, Sam Presti, Danny Ainge, what he's done over the years. Like, Tim Connolly belongs in that conversation. He's elite at what he does.
Okay, so the only thing I'd push back on is the idea that Minnesota's not NBA title contending. Right? Like, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. They beat the reigning NBA champions, and they were one possession away in each of their first two games.
Oh, they're contending. It's fine. That's fair. They're there. I just want to see them do it again, Rob.
Well, you know what they need? Like, what they needed was another guy that could take some of the pressure off of Anthony Edwards offensively, which is what you're shooting for with Rob Dillingham. We'll see if that ends up being the answer, but that's why you're drafting him there. That's what you're going for. You are taking that shot that he's going to be that guy. And frankly, when you have a team that is one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, you could take a risk on a dude that's not going to guard if you're going to play him for 22 minutes a night against someone else's second five, and hope that he's going to be able to get you a little bit of he is Mr. Spurtability. Sometimes it's for your team, sometimes it's for the other team, but he is a guy that's going to make stuff happen. And then you get someone like Terrence Shannon, who I think he's going to be elite in transition. I'm with you. I think Minnesota was a big winner last night in the draft. I love what they did, and I think that they got better, and that's one of the more difficult things to do. On another note, it is nice to see Terrence Shannon be able to celebrate. He went through a lot last year, right? I don't envy what he had to deal with going on road crowds, especially when we know now what that he was found innocent or found not guilty at the trial. So it's nice to see him be able to celebrate that. It's nice to see him get his moment. And I am glad that that legal process played out before the draft happened, because if he was still going through that trial and that was still hanging over his head, he wouldn't have been a first round pick. Like, that's not something that you would have been able to do
And for
as
those,
an NBA front
the other
office.
part, I also want to say for those Illinois fans who hammered us earlier this year when everything kind of came to light and the charges, he faced the charges and he eventually had to go to a trial. It's a hard situation for us because, again, if there are allegations, it's one thing. But when charges are filed and he's got to go to jury, like, we have to be careful how we handle this. I've known Terrence Shannon for a few years, and I think I said it when everything broke. I think I said, hey, listen, from my personal dealings with Terrence Shannon Jr. and everything I know of the kid, I was shocked. But again, I can't play judge. I can't play lawyer in all this. We don't know all the information, so we got to let it play out. And it sucks that Terrence Shannon Jr. had to go through what he had to go through last season. It sucks looking back on it now, being found not guilty. But again, we've got to handle this thing, with we got to be smart about how we handle it too. We can't come out and, hey, this is complete bullshit or anything like that, because we're not in it. We're not in it. We're not reading every document. We're not, and maybe we should, but we have other things to do as well.
Yeah, and it's not easy to get your hands on that stuff. And when this happened with Des Wells, remember when this happened with Des Wells at Xavier, and Xavier had had that whole process played out. He was found not guilty as well. That was determined to be a false allegation, and he sued the university, and I believe he was able to get 7 figures out of them as a result of the way that kind of played out. I don't know if that's going to be what happens with Terrence Shannon, because the way that he already took Illinois to court to get himself back eligible to play again. But yeah, I'm glad that he was able to get his moment. And,
I have one more just footnote to add to the Dillingham to Minnesota. Is there a player that you would rather have tutor you in the entire NBA at the point guard spot than Mike Conley? Is there one guy you would rather have if you're Rob Dillingham?
No, it's a great landing spot for him. Yes. It is in theory, a great fit for Minnesota. We'll see if it ends up playing out. Like,
they won the draft, Rob. They won the draft.
Thanks for watching the Field of 68 After Dark. Make sure to hit that like button.